All right. How's it going, everybody? This is JD out of Diaz Lux Group in Las Vegas. I'm excited to bring this new podcast for our Douglas Elliman family. I'm excited to present some top agents in our network that we can really rely on great information for, especially what we're going through the con right now. There's nuggets we can take from any agent across our network and the people who are doing at a high level. So today's first guest is Ivan Estrada. He's out of Southern California, does business at a high level. I'm about to bring him on screen, but before I do, I'm going to run a couple things that he's done at a high level and some of his accolades, and he can brag to you more about that. So first and foremost, sales-wise, over 600 million plus in sales and counting for Ivan Estrada for only being in the industry for about 14 years. He's a national selling book he produced there too. He's done a TED Talk, and he's in a brand with video course. I mean, so this guy not only does real estate, but likes to put information now to help other agents, because this is not the easiest business. We all know that it's a grind, but there's certain things you can do to help your business grow and to help you have a longevity in this industry. And that's all our goal, is to make sure we have a career for as long as we want to do. And that's super important. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out Ivan and we can talk to more with him. Ivan.
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
What's up, man? Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Welcome to the podcast. Like I said, I'm excited to bring on top agents like yourself, Ivan. You being the first one. So super thankful, super honored to have you with us today.
Well, no, thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me be the first. I feel honored. Thanks.
All right, well, that's cool, man. Well, thank you so much. So I have a couple questions I want to ask you kind of thing, but we're going to go into dialogues. I know you have so many nuggets to put out there for the world, our Douglas Elliman world. I know they want to hear from you. I know I do. I briefly met you a couple times, and I have to say, you're one of the first calls I met when I was considering moving to Douglas Elliman. Someone recommended you to say, hey, pick his brain. You know, he's done wonderful things within the brand and with his business. So I met you a little bit more, but I'm excited to even meet you more through this video process. Okay, so now it's your turn to brag a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to have you brag a little bit about you and what you do. So this is your time to shine, my man. So tell me all the things you've done, all the cool things you've done, and then tell me, how you got into the business itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. So my name is Ivan Estrada. I've been out here in LA my whole life, born and raised. Both my mom and dad are from Mexico, so I am full-blooded Mexican. I've been in the industry now for it'll be 14 years in March. Prior to that, I was a CPA. I worked in public accounting, went to USC for undergrad, did an entrepreneurship program at Stanford. And, it's crazy because it doesn't feel like it's been 14 years. I still feel like every year, at the beginning of every year, there's two things that happen. There's a level of anxiety, right? Of like wanting to do better than the last year. And that's just not all on sales, but more of like, how else can I evolve the brand? And then the second thing is excitement of like, okay, I feel like this is day one. Like January 1st of this year, I think for a lot of us, right, it was a different year than, especially as we latter part of the year kind of slow down a little bit, but it was like going back to basics and figuring out, testing a lot of things and seeing what would work and what wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in the business for 14 years. Prior to my days at USC, I was also in entertainment. So I was signed to a record company. I had agents, managers.
What?
I used to be on Univision, TV Azteca. So I toured, I did a bunch of shows, recorded an album. I was in that music world before, which I honestly think was like, I was a very shy kid. But when the camera turned on, I was like this whole other person, which I think really gave me the leverage to help my communication skills, obviously, being in front of a lot of people. And then my video skills, which is honestly what put me on the map with real estate, because it was 14 years ago when I propped up a camera on in my apartment on the rooftop. And I said, I'm going to start doing videos and putting them on YouTube. And there was like one other agent who was doing that. And I thought, I'm going to be the second. And that's what ended up happening. And that's
what year was that? What year was that?
My videos?
Yeah.
But it was when I started in the marketplace 14 years ago. There was no Instagram.
No.
There was Facebook. There was YouTube. I think on Facebook you couldn't even post videos yet. I don't remember posting them on Facebook. There's definitely no Reels or TikTok, but I was posting all my videos on YouTube, and I was doing them weekly. It was called something different because it was with a business partner, but that's what honestly ended up putting me on the map. was video.
That's so cool because 14 years ago, that video wasn't a thing 14 years ago. I mean, not at all. So it's almost like during MySpace, you could have had a MySpace
Yeah,
page.
I was posting them on MySpace, actually. Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's funny because now these days, I think agents are, video is like the thing now, right? Content is king right now, huge, right? But for you to be a first mover on that, it's impressive. But I think that has to go back to what you start doing. You were in the entertainment business, so you were comfortable in front of the camera, and that's something I learned about you today. So you can sing.
I could sing, yeah.
That's cool.
I still do, actually. I've been doing a lot of public speaking, like the TED Talk that you had mentioned, which I was able to sing at the end. They wanted me to sing, but every big public presentation that I give, motivational, inspirational, or educational, the production manager will say, "Oh, by the way, we heard you could sing. Could you sing something at the end?" And so I'll sing. And they used to. It's when I was in the business. They used to say you're the Latin Christina, the male Christina Aguilera, because I have vocals and I had opera training. I mean, I can belt. Let's just say that I can belt. And so it's still part of what gives me a lot of happiness and fun that I still get to do that, not on a professional level, because it's not anything I'm looking to do, because it's being an artist at that capacity you cannot even fathom, because there's so much that goes into it, which I also think trained me to work 24/7 on my craft, on my branding, and on myself in order to really be successful in real estate. Because people in music, just like us, right? Every year they have to reinvent themselves. Like there's only one Rihanna, right? There's Mariah Carey. There's all these big U2. Like these people have built their brands over decades, and they're still around today because they are constantly reinventing themselves and keeping their customer base and acquiring new customer bases, which is how they stay successful year after year, decade after decade.
100%. Yeah, you got to evolve. I hate that term where, like, for bands, perfect example, where they go, man, this band has changed. They're sold out. And the bands come back and, no, guys, our listeners are evolving. Our listeners are growing as well. We got to be creative with what we're putting out there, right? And so people are like, no, we're not selling out. We're going with the times. It'd be more concerning if we did the same thing all the time. It would be weird, right?
You can't do that in real estate, period. You can't do what worked last year may not work this year.
100%. And so that's super important about evolving and changing your business and what you do. And that's cool, man. I hope I can hear you sing sometime. What song did you sing at the end of the TED Talk?
Oh my God. Oh, it was so at the beginning of the TED Talk, as I talk about branding, I talk about Selena. It was a huge inspiration for me musically, and also she was the first female to be a brand because she started her own clothing line, her boutiques. She was the first a Latin crossover artist from Spanish music into English music. So she built out what a brand was, and so I got to sing a song from Selena, "Tu Solo Tu," which I sang on stage, and it was fun.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, maybe you might sing like a national anthem or something someday.
That would be. Oh yeah, I've done those before. Laker games, Dodger games. I've done those.
Very cool. It's fine. I actually know some previous athletes who are killing it in the real estate game. And not just because what you just said, that you've been trained to literally work on your craft 24/7. And that's what these athletes do at a high level. I mean, they're training day in and day out, from nutrition to physical training, mental training kind of thing. And when they go into real estate, they're just killing it because they have that mentality like, I gotta go. And they're like, for them, they're like, why isn't everyone doing this? Just people don't have that, right? So athletes and previous athletes and musicians and any with that kind of artistry or that sense of you have to be better and better, they just kill it in the game. So it makes sense why you do what you do and how you do it at a high level. So that goes to my next question is, what does your business look like in 2023? It's because of what's going on everywhere across the world and obviously domestic. What does your business look like right now?
So as of now, we have 8 in escrow. I have 5 new listings coming up. It's been great. I have to say that at the end of November and December, I had felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, which was a bit of fear, because everything that I was doing, it just felt like everything was working, right? It was winning and everything was happening. And obviously interest rates had a lot to do with that. But at the same time, it is your brand, right? The work that you've done, the prospecting, the marketing, the networking. I belong to a lot of groups. I'm on boards. I'm heavily invested in my community, and I'm always out and about, right? Supporting other people's passions and philanthropic endeavors. And November and December, I think everything kind of halted, at least for me. I know a lot of people in the office, and that put me down kind of a rabbit hole of, is it me? Am I done with? Are people over Ivan Estrada properties? Like, I just kind of felt like, what's happening here? And I honestly, to me, that was one of the biggest blessings, because yes, for a day or two, I felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But then the other part of the brain goes in, right? You just had mentioned about people that are in sports, and especially like for me, that coming from music, you're not always going to be Taylor Swift in the top hit, right? You're not always going to be in the top 10.
Right.
There's people who have fallen off, and then they come back, and they come back hard.
Right.
Because they realize what they were good at. They realize what was working and what wasn't working. And then they go double down on what was working. And for me, it was going back to the basics of the business of real estate, which is people. In December, we usually send out these big chocolate towers from Godiva.
Yes.
We usually ship them. We do handwritten notes. We do all of that. I spent 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks actually, hand delivering them to all my clients, all of them. I made time. I said, if they want me to be there for 2 minutes, I'll be there for 2 minutes. If they want me to be there for 30 minutes and see all their renovations and their kids, I am going to do that. And that's what I did. And I looked back at my business and I saw, and not that video is not important, because it's really important, right? But then there's the foundation of real estate when it goes to, reaching out to your client base, like on the phone, right? Not just sending them a video, but getting on the phone. Going back to providing value in whatever way possible you can to your clients. I'm really good at putting together functions for my clients, like parties. I started setting these dinners together at my home for 10 clients at a time. I'm doing them every 2 weeks, and just sitting down with my clients and having dinner and laughing. And I've been doing them since December. Yes, I've gotten business from it, 100%.
Yeah.
But that aside, like, I've been able to connect with my clients on a much deeper level. And it's just been so gratifying.
Yeah.
It's been so gratifying to be able to do that. And so, I think that moving into 2023, right now we're obviously in February, and I feel like we're doing really, really well, thank God. But it's just doing more of that, going deeper into my client database, being more strategic on where I spend my time and with who, and going back to, like I said, some of the basics. Like, I hadn't done an open house in years, because to my team, it was part of the perk of being on my team was being able to do all the open houses. And so I'm getting back to doing, open houses with them or alone, and figuring out, how can we make them better? How can we make them more of an experience? How can I make it more where people are going to see the value of working with us, amongst maybe some of my competitors? And so just going back to the basics of what real estate was built on, again, back to people. And yes, there's technology and videos and AI and ChatGPT and all that stuff, and all that's great. But that stuff is just going to amplify the foundational principles of what real estate is all about. It's not there to replace it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. I had the same feeling. I had a solid 2022, even November, December, killed it, right? And then to your point, January, I was like, something's different here. Like, something is weird. And you're right. You kind of question yourself, like, to your point, does no one want to work with anymore? Am I doing the right things anymore? Kind of thing. And so, but I think that's a healthy thing. To your point, it really takes a step back and looks at your overall business. Like, what am I doing here? What's the overall goal? What does it all look like? Am I being efficient? Am I doing the things I should be doing, kind of thing, right? And so I think that's honestly is a good opportunity to kind of take a step back, reset everything, look at the big picture and go, okay, what am I doing here? What should I be targeting? What does that look like? To your point, is it more just being with the ones that I love, my clients who really just have been there from the whole time, inviting them to dinner, having a great conversation, know I'm there for them, kind of thing? And to your point, is it going to get sales? Potentially. I think it would be. No doubt about that. But just creating that almost like your sphere even tighter, right? So therefore, when they're looking to do something like, oh, dude, I'm it's my guy. That's my guy, right? And that's what you want, to create your previous clients, future clients, to be like, that's my sphere. Those are my people, because I'm giving more than just, hey, this is the market. It's good. Bye. It's like, yeah, we all know that. It's on the news everywhere. But what else are you providing me? What other information, great nuggets I can take that will help me build my portfolio, Ivan? I want to do other things besides own a home, kind of thing. So I think you're doing the right thing, and it's important, especially in today's market. You got to shift and look at that. And I think it's healthy for people to know that, look, your business sometimes is not going how you thought it'd be, because sometimes it's out of your control, but you can control your destiny with changing how you do things. And that's important too. Your same things you're doing the previous years in a different market are not going to work in today's market. It's just not going to work. It's not. There's some things you can do consistently, but you got to change your messaging or your approach or whatnot. But I loved what you said. The hand delivering is a key thing. That personal touch, those dinners is a huge thing too. Do you cook yourself, order food, chef?
We had literally, this was the food place we were going to order the food from. And then I just thought, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. I love to cook.
Nice.
It doesn't take me that much time to do it. And I can say to my clients, yeah, I cooked this. I did it. I did it for you guys. And it's just, again, it just goes to show to your clients, like, wow, because when friends do that for me, instead of let's go out to dinner, let me make you dinner.
Yeah.
A whole different ballgame. Wow, you made me dinner. Wow. That's something that you feel, obviously you hold at a higher regard, and it just helps you create more of an experience than just, I just ordered it,
Yeah, and I think it puts them from a client bubble to almost like a family,
right?
Because you're inviting them to your house. I mean, it's like, that's a different level. It's not like, hey, you're right, I can meet you at a restaurant, get a fine dine all day, but you're coming into my house, my place of, my solitude place. I'm welcoming you, and it's like, that's just a different thing. I mean, that's kudos to you. That means you've built that rapport with those clients. You feel obviously very comfortable in doing so, and even more comfortable cooking for people. So that's impressive. And so where'd you learn to cook? Is it just over time?
It's just over time. It's something that I like. I cook all of my meals. I'm very particular with what I put into my body when it comes to food. I don't partake in alcohol anymore. I'm like kind of like a health nut, I guess I would say. But anytime
that was your TED Talk, right?
Huh?
That was about your TED Talk, right?
Well, my TED Talk was more about branding. But there was the part about
the component of that,
cleaning up alcohol and certain things that were masking who I really was, and kind of, that's how I would, I guess, self-medicate when I couldn't process certain feelings, especially feelings that I wasn't comfortable with. We look to food, alcohol, sex. I mean, the list goes on, gambling, and how I was able to conquer that, because really getting to, especially in real estate, right? It's a very emotional process, and really being in tune with your own feelings helps you become empathetic.
Yeah.
And empathetic is how you gain a client's trust, right? Because you can get in their place and really understand them. And in real estate, when we're working with our clients, the first person they want to know that really understands how they feel is you as their agent.
Yep, 100%. Totally agree. It's funny when the market, back to your kind of doing the right thing, when the market kind of slowed down, I knew it was like, I'm doing a lot of efforts out there. I'm doing a lot of content and calls and whatnot, but I was like, I need to feel productive still, because I'm not getting the number of transactions. So I looked into the gym. So I was like, that makes me feel productive, right? I'm doing something, right? So I'm working out hardcore. I'm trying to take care of this temple of mine, but I'm eating better, working out, religiously. I track it on my iWatch, making sure I hit my calorie intake. But I know I needed to feel productive, right? Because it was a different kind of productive than what I was before. So I'm like, all right, as long as I can stay productive in one thing, I feel everything else is still falling into place. So it was taking care of maybe not as much transactions, but doing something positive. So that was helping me big time during the last month and a half or so.
Awesome.
But the next one, the question is, it's leading perfect to it. Since of the shift, what are you doing different? I mean, you said you're delivering kind of things, you're doing dinners kind of thing, but what are you doing that's the same or a higher level, and then anything else you do differently now?
There's a lot of things that I'm doing very differently. I think the whole process itself, the buying and the selling process, I wanted to make it as professional as possible. So for sellers and buyers, before I even meet with them in person, there's an intake form, because when you go into a medical practice, when you're meeting with a lawyer, when you're meeting with an accountant, they give you a questionnaire. What is it that you're looking for? How can I help you? it's pretty robust. And I tell people, look, I'm having you fill out this intake form because this is going to better help me understand you and what you're looking for. And that way I'm able to better account for your time, and I'm able to better help you find the perfect home for you. So that's been a big part of it. Another part is just how I process the whole streamlining the system. Because I think last year and the year before that, I have an incredible staff, but at the same time, I still felt like the customer service aspect was not where I wanted it to be. Because, I mean, at times we had 12, 13 escrows at a time. And for me, that's a lot, especially here in Los Angeles, like having 12 or 13 escrows at a time personally. And then my agents having escrows on their end, right? Because I'm responsible for them. I'm responsible for the escrow the transaction.
Right.
And prospecting still, marketing still, the dinners still go on, the networking still goes on, me sitting on the board still happens. I still have a family, I still go to the gym. And trying to, like, there was a lot of things that I felt needed some tweaking. I have videos that go out to clients when we go into escrow, when it's time to remove contingencies, when we're about to close escrow. It's like they're produced, like it's me in a studio and there's confetti and there's things that just make the process feel more special.
Yeah.
Even the gifting process, like, before it was like, oh, we give clients just to, depending on the client, a bottle of champagne, or if it's a Gucci bag, if it was a bigger purchase. But now it's just more of like, how can I create more of an experience with them? With one of my last clients, we just ordered a sous chef for 10 people. And obviously they invited me to be one of the 10 people. And so just trying to make this more of like a professional process throughout. And then they get like a little gift when they remove their inspection contingency, because I think that's like very nerve-wracking for a lot of people. Yeah. You get a little diffuser at home where it's like the oils. So I'm like, hey, here's a little congratulatory gift. This was a very stressful process. Here's a little something to relax. It's $25 and it's just packaged really nicely. So things like that of like, how can we make the experience a more professional experience than just showing up and saying, hey, let's look at these 5 houses. And, and now I actually go over the contract with them and I have highlighted all the big portions. They get a nice folder of what to expect, right? So now I have time to do more of those things, which I enjoy, because that's why they hire us.
That's a personal touch for sure. And back to your first, the questionnaire. I know people are going to ask this question. Is that something you give to them, like when you're face to face, or something you send via email? What does that look like?
Google Doc. It's a Google Doc that gets sent out. It's a lot in there, but it's things that I need in order to better help a client. And it's questions about what they're looking for, but also their lifestyle. Also, where are their favorite places? What are their favorite desserts? Like all those things help me, especially when it comes to gifting, to be able to find the perfect gift, because I know what they like. But it also just gives me a sense of where they are in the process, like from 1 to 10. What's, how do you feel? How anxious do you feel about the process from 1 to 10? That way, it better helps me kind of care for them, just like a doctor would.
No, for sure. You're right. Why are we different than a physician or a lawyer that do the exact same thing, right? They're providing a service tailored to who they are, whatnot. We're no different. There's definitely no different. And hopefully that document changes down the road. Like, hey, this is now my investment property. This is my, whatever it is. And if you can obviously update that as you go, that's important too. It's funny. We try to instill that too. We're not doing the best at it, but you're just reminding me to do it, is to do the questionnaire, right? And asking for important dates, anniversaries, whatnot, so we can document those special times and personalize these special dates that they don't think that we know. It's like, oh my goodness, Ivan just sent me this beautiful rose petals for our 1 year anniversary or whatever. I mean, that's special. I mean, I think when we get to the busy timeline, and like you said, 12 to 13 at one time, we tend to lose that because we're so much, we're in the game. We're in the game. And obviously our goal is to make sure everything goes through. And that's our first and foremost goal, right? Making sure that transaction goes smoothly as best we can in our control. But we tend to lose the personal touch because of that. And so we got to remember how we can do that at a high level still with a volume, if it's hiring the right people, if it's having the systems in place or whatever kind of thing, And so that's huge. And I think I'm glad you noticed that, because it's hard. I mean, like 1 year I did 84 transactions. I didn't breathe, right? I just didn't breathe. You know what I mean? So and I wonder how many maybe repeat clients or what could I have or referral, because that personal touch wasn't there because I didn't have the right system in place, and that's going to happen. So I'm glad you were able to notice that. But what you're doing is a whole different level, Ivan. I'll tell you that. I mean, people did like send cards. I mean, you're doing dinners. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, it all depends on the client. But
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was in accounting and I worked as a CPA, I always try to emulate that because it was, when people are paying what they're paying us, if you do this well, you make more money than most lawyers and most all accountants, unless they're like a major partner at a major firm, than most doctors and surgeons. Like there's people making millions of dollars, and those are the people that have figured out a way to add value to their clients in a way that no one else can, and that run a system and a company, right? Because we are our own company. You have to run it like one, right? And that's every single arm of it. And obviously we can't do that alone. So, you need people in order to, make sure that the experience is the best of the best. Like St. Regis is the St. Regis for a reason, right? It's not just because they keep their places clean, they're in great locations, and they're beautiful, but it's their service, and it's that they remember about you and their favorite chocolates. They know that my favorite chocolate, like I'm just like Hershey's almonds, Hershey's, like that's my thing. And they always have one every time I show up, no matter where I'm in the world. There's like a little basket with a bunch of Hershey's from almond or almond with Hershey in it, because that's what they do.
That's fantastic. No, that's awesome. That thing, and you're going to be a loyal fan forever. I mean, you know what I mean? You're absolutely. I mean, it's like that little Hershey's is going to like, this is awesome. This is great. I mean, yeah, 100%. And I love that. It's something so simple, but so mindful at the same time. I mean, it's crazy. It's on both spectrums. It's simple, but yet so impactful, right? It's like, okay, if it just takes something so small to make that wow statement, or they'll forever forget you, it's a no-brainer at that point, right? So that gets my next question. Because of what's happening, I think with Chat GPT, all this stuff, there's so many entrances, new incomers, all that stuff like that. Where do you see real estate in 5 years? I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, right? But I mean, the last 5 years has been a dramatic change, and the year before at 5 years, right? You're lucky enough to see almost 3 different kind of shifts going on, being almost 15 years in the game. I'm a newcomer. I've been 5 to 7 years kind of thing. So where do you see it going? And what would you do to protect yourself to make sure that you're still in the game for 15 years to come?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm looking, I've written the books and I have courses and things to elevate and continue expanding the brand, right?
Yep.
Just as an in case, right? But I do feel that in the next 5 years, this business is going to change. Technology will change it drastically.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's going to be a need for as many real estate agents out there as we have now.
Yeah.
Just because, especially with AI, I mean, they're going to be able to. AI will be integrated, I feel, in a way where it's going to be able to review documents, look at documents, not negotiate for us per se, or who knows. But at the end of the day, it's still a very emotional process. I don't think clients want to emotionally connect with an AI. I think they want to connect with a person that they can trust. But I do feel that all the technology that there is now will make our lives easier, faster, make it more streamlined, especially like blockchain. I still feel like that will be utilized in a big way in this business. And the process won't be as long. It won't need as much as I would say, sweat equity, because there's going to be other things there's like robots who do showings. I've seen some of them here in Los Angeles.
Whoa.
I do feel like a lot of people will be, unfortunately, there won't be as many people needed in the business, but the ones that will be needed are the ones who are continually working on their business and educating themselves and becoming invaluable, right? And when I say that is, I know agents, including myself in this, is like I'm training myself to add more tools to my toolkit. When it comes to educating myself on business, educating myself on real estate, educating myself on branding and marketing, educating myself on blockchain, educating myself on now ChatGPT. I have this training next week for 3 hours that I'm taking with a bunch of colleagues who are in the real estate side, but on the tech side. And so just continually educating yourself, because I think the more you know and the more that you implement yourself in your business, the more that you can really shield yourself against things like that. Where, how I heard from actually a colleague 2 years ago, he said there's going to be, just a couple of brokers that are needed that are very high level, kind of like a partner at an accounting firm or a law firm, where all the work that was done by like an admin, a senior manager, all that will be taken care of by AI. And then there'll be the people on top. It will be reviewed by people, right? By us, as long as you are continually educating yourself and you keep the qualifications up to keep the job, because I do think it's going to get harder. I do think agents are just going to get smarter and smarter, and that's my prognosis. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I do think that there won't be a need for as many realtors down the road as we have now.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think we even saw a drastic shift in the last 5 years from that too, right? I think we're having I call it the new media agent coming through. That's exactly what's happening right now. I think content is king. I think it's huge because now everyone's Googling everything, right? So you got to be on many platforms as possible. And I'm not saying doing dancing and all that nonsense, but like more of really providing value, right? Showing your worth. And I think that's super important. But to your point with AI, obviously, I think if you use it correctly, it could be a great benefit to you. I really do. It could help streamline a lot of different processes. But I'm with you. It's such an emotional purchase, right? I think people were scared when the open doors and those kinds came, like, oh my God, they're going to take all our business away kind of thing. And as you know, they didn't do so hot, right? It's because it's a different emotional experience. And I truly believe in that. And it's to your point, you really understand the client and help them on a different level. I truly believe that we're a real estate agent / therapist. I mean, we hear everything from these clients. Sometimes too much. You know what I mean? But that's okay. I mean, I'd rather be that us than some kind of robot or some kind of AI. I mean, that's so because they get immediate feedback, and sometimes just a hug they need, and they're not going to get that from a robot. There's just no way, right? So it's definitely an emotional experience, and I think to your point, but there are going to be a lot less agents needed in the world. I truly believe in that too, right? So there's no better time to gain market share by doing the right efforts, by doing what you're saying and reaching out to clients, dining with clients, tell them that we're here for you. At the same time, real estate's always ever evolving and making sure that we know, Ivan and myself, that we know what's happening right now. What are people doing right now? What's the market look like? Because unfortunately, AI doesn't know immediate information. They know past information, right? They're not on the boots on the ground doing what we're doing right now. So we can get immediate feedback. And that's something that AI will never produce for us. It's not possible, right? So therefore, we're needed as today, but we got to show our value. And that's what it comes down to. Anyone can Google how to be a real estate agent all day and every day and learn it, no problem. But actually doing the business, understanding the business, because there's also nuances in the industry itself, right? We know how to work through those things. I don't think a robot will know how to do this and that. Right. There's no way. Right? But yes, I believe there's be less agents in the world for sure. Right now is no better time to get your market share and do what you need to do. But I truly believe if you're passionate about it and you love what you do, it's become second nature. I mean, I know I do. I love learning of what's going on every day. That's just what I do. Right? And that's what you do. It's a passion. It's not like, all right, let me do another learning class. No, it's like, I can't wait to learn this, to tell my clients about this. And that's what it comes down to, right? And your toolbox, like you said, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Before you know it, you're just a wealth of knowledge. Your goal is to be the person they go to for anything real estate related, right? Not just, can you sell my home? I have a question about this. Cool. I know Ivan's going to know this, right? And I think that's what's so important, to know your business. I mean, I say that to every new agent out there. Know your business. Just know the business, right? You can be pretty all day and look good and nice clothes all day, but if you don't know what you're doing, that's only short-lived.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these shows are helping anything the cause, like the selling sets or whatnot. They show only the glamour or whatnot, but it's a lot more work. And to your point, I can't explain why. It's a business we're running. We're not just an individual agent. We're running a business, a multi-million-dollar business, more than a brick and mortar anywhere down the street kind of thing. It's a different level. We can make it even greater what you're doing from TED Talks and speaking engagements kind of thing. And that's cool too, because you're just passionate about it. You're like, man, I want to teach people things too. And you created platforms to do so, which is good. And it goes into my next question, like, what would you tell an agent right now? I mean, because of the change, what would you recommend?
For a new agent or just any agent in general, I think this is a year of really putting pen to paper and really putting a plan together. and really asking yourself, I would say to the new agents, right? Because I get a lot of questions from new agents saying, I want to be in the business. And I always ask why, right? Why do you want to be in this business? Oh, well, I like houses, or I'm like, that answer's not going to work for me, because I'm like, it's, you need to want to be in this business because you know that you can do an amazing job providing value and helping people, because we are helping people. Every time someone buys or sells a house, it's huge. You're uprooting their life and moving them into a different location. There's a life change happening, right? It could be a good thing, right? You just had a new child, or you got a promotion, it's time to relocate to a bigger house, or it could be a divorce or a death, right? Or unfortunately they lost their job and they need to buy something, downsize, right? So there's a life change there, and that takes a lot of responsibility for someone.
Yep.
Because it's not just selling the house, it's helping people navigate through a life change. And unless you can do that with genuine authenticity and to really want to help someone, then it's not going to work. Because in this job, it is about that. It's running a business, it's branding. We talked about branding, marketing, finance, right? Networking. It's about contracts. It's about running a business, operating direct. If you, like, I have an admin, right? An operations director. It's a lot of things. You are the CEO of a company, and you have to withstand and be able to be there for all of them, be able to be their mental rock, be able to be there to educate them, be able to get the whole entire team through harsh, difficult times, regardless of what happens in whatever market. And that's what it takes to be a good real estate agent, is to be a good leader. Do you feel like you can be a good leader? Because if not, this may not be the type of business for you. And that's what I think it takes. It's not just showing homes and doing videos. All that is great, right? That is all that's the output of what goes into this business. But the input is knowing that you're doing this because this is something that you're passionate about, and not something that you just saw on TV and thought that, oh, well, I want a Mercedes and I want to show really cool houses, because that's not how this business works.
Not at all. Not at all. Absolutely right. You got to. I say to every new agent, you're really opening a company. You got to start. You're doing a company. You're not a real estate agent. You're running a company if you want to be successful for longevity. You know what I mean? To your point, every company out there who doesn't do marketing, it's not a thing. You got to do marketing, right? So that's a component of your success, but it's not the ultimate things that get you deals. You got to network. You got to learn your business. You got to educate yourself. You got to, go to events, kind of thing. Know the latest laws and regulations. Go with the board, stuff like that. So there's so much other things that people don't see, which makes you successful. And that's I can't explain that more enough. You treat it like a company, not like a hobby. If you treat it like a hobby, you're gonna get paid like a hobby, and you're gonna see the exit door very fast.
Yeah.
And the rule of thumb, 80% of agents fail the first year. I think it's higher. I really do. Especially now, what's happening right now, 100%. And so you got to think differently, but think like a business. And I know for you, I mean, you are obviously you're top of your game, Ivan. It's very impressive. But do you still look up to other agents throughout your industry, or even outside industry that you're like, hey, I'm still learning from these amazing people?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's agents here at the office that I just have high respect for, because they have been in the business for decades. I mean, there's agents here in Los Angeles who have been in the business for 30, 40, 50 years.
Wow.
And they are evolving. They run it, like you said, like a business. And they are those people who, when they walk into a room, you notice them, because there's that thing about them where it's just, they know their value, and they know why they've been doing for so long. And I per se don't really I don't copy what they're doing. I actually sometimes don't even know what they're doing. I think we all have our own journey. Actually, we were just discussing this prior, was I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts, because it's information that's been, I would say, transcribed through their perspective. And I do listen to I read actual books, and then I listen to audibles that are old books from the 50s, from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 20s. And then I use that information to inspire me to do different things in my business. But yeah, there's incredible agents here in LA. I mean, Elliman has incredible agents here in LA, in New York, in South Florida, in Aspen. We have Knight Frank agents around the world. And, it's, if you want to be like them, you have to figure out, like, we're all doing something different. We do something that works for us. And I think, keeping them, and like kind of what you're doing here, right? Do you mind if I could take you out to lunch, or kind of ask you a couple of questions so that I could see how you run your business, so that hopefully that inspires me and motivates me to do something similar in my business.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. I think to always find bits and pieces for people who you recommend or not recommend, who you admire in the industry, because you're right. Everyone's gonna have their own journey. Everyone's gonna have their own forte. I know people who do nothing but video and kill it. I know people who do no video and kill it. You know what I mean? Everyone's got their business, right? And it's what works for them. And I think people try to conform to, like, oh, everyone's doing video, I have to do video. I think it's important, right? But at the same time, if you're forcing yourself and it looks ingenuine, it looks forced, it's very uncomfortable as a viewer to watch this too, just so you know what I mean? So you want to be there, want to present, kind of thing. So notate that. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't mean you have to do it too. Make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And if you do for the right reasons, you're going to want to do it more often, because it's what you want to do. It's comfortable, right? So, find the forte. I know people who literally do door knocking. That's all they do, and murder it, right? You know what I mean? So it depends. But for me, I tell people I can meet actors and actresses. I'm gonna be like, oh, nice to meet you. But then when I meet someone in the industry who's like killing it, I'm like starstruck. I'm like, nice to meet you. You know what I mean? Just so it's an honor and pleasure meeting you. To your point, they carry this presence with them. Like they know their stuff, they know their business, kind of thing, and it's almost unbreakable, right? And so that's impressive to me. Obviously, I think I have a great business. I'm only going to grow because I want to grow. I want to learn more and do more, kind of thing. But I'm doing different things to get to that level too, or to my journey is completely different. And it's nice from you to see this guy went from wanting to be a musician, this and that, to doing this, and now doing TED Talks and now books, kind of thing. It's almost like, I bet you if I said, hey, let me see your whiteboard from 10 years, none of those things were on there. You know what I mean? It was just like succeed in real estate. And then it starts to spread out and do different things, kind of thing. And that's cool. Different doors will open up if you do a good business. And I for me too, same thing. And then for you, Ivan. And so I think people always like, what's your end game? It's like, it's not like it's an end game, because it's I enjoy it. I like you're talking about it. You're just smiling. It's not like, I have to do this, I got to do this. It's like, no, I get to do this, I get to do this. And it's a different kind of feeling. And so for you, I think you're never going to have to retire. It's going to be like, hey, when do you want to walk away? It's your call. Call the shots.
Yeah, exactly.
And then your team, how long have been with your team for a while now, or is it always evolving and growing?
It's always evolving and growing. I mean, right now it's just myself and an admin. The team and I kind of went our separate ways. I felt that it was the best decision for us. We'll rebuild in the next couple of months, because there's no way that I could build the business that I need with the agents that I felt, for them in their journey, it was best for them to run their own business.
Yeah.
Than for them to work on my team. But
yeah.
Like I had said before, 2023 is very different. 2023 is very different. 2024 will be very different. And I think I did a lot of self-reflection in November and December, and really thought 3 years out and said, what do I want my brand to represent?
Yeah.
How does the team look like? How does it sound like? Where have we done? What awards have we won? How many sales have we done? What have we conquered together? And because of that, I felt, the two people that I had on my team were like family to me. And I felt, look, I love you guys. I think it's best we kind of go our separate ways for now, as I reinvent myself, and then, and go from there. And so right now, I think it was the best decision for them and for myself. And like I said, business is really flourishing. And in the next, I would say by May, I need to rebuild with the people that I feel are the right fit for me and for,
I think,
for my clients.
Yeah, that's super important, and people need to realize that too. You don't have to have a mega team to do well. I think that's old school mentality too, right? If you create the systems and create the processes, it's amazing what you can do with a thin team, but a powerful thin team, right? I mean, people who are literally killing it in their field of what they need to accomplish, right? You know what I mean? I'm the same way. I want people in my team that's going to give me their all. I'm going to pour into. For me, it's more like a family. For me, like we're all going to ride this together. We're all going to be in the weeds together. We're going to all hit the highs and lows together, but we're always there for each other. That's super important too. I'm like you. I have my team's more behind the scenes, so I'm more getting the business, and they're taking care of everything else for me, and that's what I love. Because for me, I know what I'm good at, and that's not the admin stuff. I'm just not. That's not my forte. It's a waste of time and effort, kind of thing, completely. So I found someone who can take care of that and kill that for me, while I do what I know is good, which is bring business to the table, talk to clients, getting things done, and that's what's so huge. So for anyone out there looking to, hey, I want to grow a team, find the gaps, find what you can do. Where are you losing money because you're not doing money generating things, right? Find what that looks like. And like what Ivan said, evaluate your business, right? Literally take a step, evaluate everything you got going on. Where are the gaps? Where can you do better? Where should you let go, kind of thing? And then when that time comes, hire the right people, right? And that's important too. Yeah. Whether it be referral based or someone outside industry, someone industry, take your time hiring the right people, and don't be afraid to let someone go too. That's important too. Sometimes letting someone go is benefit for both parties, not just you, but them as well. So I truly believe in that too. So good for you for finding that out, and and hopefully you find the right people in the near future, man.
Thank you.
And then last question is going to be, obviously you're everywhere, all right? But where would you want people to find you? To locate you, reach out to you. We got above your name, we got your tag for your social media presence. You have a great social media presence. But where else can they find you?
Yeah, so on social media, like above my name right now, is Ivan Estrada Properties. So that is my Instagram, and TikTok as well, and Facebook. If you want to know more about me, not just the real estate side, but the book, the podcast, the TED Talk, my course brand with video, you can go to ivanestrada.com, and that's kind of like the hub of where everything that I currently do, any upcoming conferences that I'm speaking at will be there, and that's probably like the best place to go.
Cool, man. Well, I think you're super impressed with what you got going on, man. I definitely look up to you for inspiration, and I want to say it was a pleasure meeting the first time I did via phone, and then meeting you at the event that Douglas Elliman put on in Southern California too, which was huge. It was fun. It was a pleasure meeting you there too. And of course, just doing this, man, I learned so much more about you, and I'm sure everyone else learned more about you too. And Ivan's a killer. He's awesome. But he doesn't just do real estate, and that's what I love. You know what I mean? He does a little of everything, but at a high level too. It's a point where if you dabble too many things, but nothing's good, what are we doing? Are you doing the right things or anything? But you're doing everything at a high level. And I'm sure you've dropped things in the past that like you thought, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and like, oh, I'm not doing a good job at this. I should really do this.
I stick to what I know, and like I stick to my own lane, and everything that I do comes back to the original brand of real estate.
Yeah.
The course it's all real estate. It's not like I'm showing people how to cook, or it's something that's completely out of the scope of what I do.
Yeah.
In the future, I do want my own homeware line. Like that is the goal.
There we go.
But yeah, so that's like the 5-year goal of Ivan Estrada,
like pots and pans and stuff, or what?
Furniture and all.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very cool. I wanted to one day sit on a Ivan Estrada couch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like a lot of the stuff in my new home are a lot of the stuff that I've designed. So it'll be like my showcase to show people this is what I'm capable of.
Very cool, man. All right, one last fun question for you. Prepare for this question. It's a good one. If you could meet anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That would be, my inspiration of all life. I think it sounds weird. Selena. It goes back to Selena. Selena for me as a kid was talking about authenticity, right?
Yeah.
I used to see her on TV and listen to her music. I felt like she knew me and I knew her.
Yeah.
She was my inspiration to get into music and to start singing.
Cool.
And then obviously as time evolved, when she died, it was probably, for my family, it was a big deal, but for me personally, it was a huge loss. And as I started to do more research on her, as I started getting older, I realized how many things we had in common, right? How we were kind of like, not the same person, but her being a singer and saying, this isn't it for me. I want more. I want my own boutique. I want this. I want that. She was always out there working her craft, passionate, with a good attitude, entrepreneurial, and really setting for, I think the biggest thing of why I connect with her is she was setting the ground to people here in America of what Latin music was all about, right?
Right.
Huge crossover of not just becoming a Latin artist, but a world artist. And for me, that's what I'm doing with my books and my courses and my talks, is saying, hey, there's a lot of Latin people out there, right? But we're all doing some really good stuff, right? And here I am to show you what else we can do, right?
Yep.
That we can do a lot of incredible things. And to me, that was one of her biggest things, and that's one of my biggest things. And so I feel like if I got to meet her, that would have been incredible.
That's awesome, man. I'm a huge fan as well, being Hispanic. I mean, I remember growing up, my mom would pop in the Selena CD, and I was like, this is a different sound. This is like, and it went mainstream. I was like, this is crazy. We never had anyone like that to look up to, like, right? It was different. It was so different, right? And of course, when the movie came out, it became even more mainstream than it was, Are you watching her Netflix show by chance, or have you seen it?
I watched it like 5 times.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm watching it right now, and I love it because the family was part of the show, so therefore we know we're getting more information, which is great, right? So the stuff that she was doing, like the clothing line, this and that, and wanted to do everything by herself, and all this stuff, and her not being happy sometimes. That's crazy. You would think, oh my, but no, she wanted to be a normal person too and whatnot. But to your point, she broke the barrier, and I love Beyonce recently came out and said, I looked up. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, the most amazing singers right now, we're looking up to this girl who changed. She didn't know how many lives she changed until we we hear it today, right? And it's amazing. And so I'm watching the show myself. So it's a great story. It's a great inspirational story for everything. But I'm with you, man. That's cool, man. That's a great answer. It makes complete sense knowing a little more about you and all that stuff. So I thought it was a fun question, just to kind of get you going, kind of thing. But once again, man, I appreciate you so much. I've learned obviously from we're almost an hour talking about what's going on in your business, how you're doing things, and I'm excited to see what you're evolving, what you're doing too. So guys, make sure you follow Ivan. He's got a lot of things in the works, I'm sure. But if anything, it's a great contact, man. If you have any questions, whatnot, he knows his stuff in Southern California. Reach out to him. I know I am for sure. But I want to say, Ivan, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being part of this. And I know I have a friend for life in you, man. I really thank you.
Man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the interview, and keep going. 2023 just started.
Let's go, man. Thank you, Ivan. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Bye.